Morning temperatures in the upper 50s, lower 60s. Plus, we're on your side, though, talking about how much hotter it's going to be by the end of the week. And we take a look at some of your photos submitted after storms moved through central Alabama last night. Plus, as those temperatures continue to heat up, we bring safety tips on how to look out for snakes when you're outdoors this summer.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
Welcome in, everyone. You're watching First Alert Weather Extra. Flying solo tonight, I'm meteorologist Tania Michelle. And boy, it has been a busy, really last 24 hours, but things have shaped up to be quiet and calm for most of your Monday. Beautiful evening conditions, but we should go ahead and talk about the next big thing because the heat is on the rise as we bring in hot conditions for your Thursday. Those temperatures are really going to be cranking up for us. And by Friday, we'll see those temperatures in the low 90s. Let's take a look, though, at that First Alert Muggy meter as our next big thing. Humidity levels may have been more comfortable today and really tomorrow and even for your Wednesday with dew points in the 50s. Starting to see those dew points rise, though, by middle of your week, upper 50s by Wednesday. By Thursday, though, those humidity levels are really going to be rising for us. We'll see dew points back into the low 60s, mid 60s by Friday, upper 60s by Saturday, and we could see our next rain chance by Sunday. Let's go ahead and talk about that. This is also part of our next big thing because I know people have weekend plans. Father's Day is this weekend, and you're probably wondering, am I going to be able to get outside by Sunday, or is this rain going to wash out all of my plans? The thing I can tell you right now is it's not looking like a washout for your Father's Day on Sunday. So that's the good news. You don't need to cancel any of those plans just yet. We're still several days out, plenty of time to fine tune that forecast. But as we look at one of our models, this is a model that shows us rain chances a little bit farther out. So as we look to your Saturday, still looking dry, maybe a few more clouds out and about, but I can guarantee you this, Saturday looks like a really, really hot day. So just get ready for that heat to be cranking up for us. By next Monday, though, 8 a.m., we start to see some showers in our forecast, but I was also noticing a chance for some rain as early as Sunday evening. So the second half of your Sunday, there could be an isolated storm in our forecast that could produce some heavy rainfall, maybe even some frequent lightning. But the greatest rain chance really looks like early next week. By next Monday, we start to see rain coverage increasing by Monday evening, 6 p.m. there. Could see some storms in the mix. And then that rain chance continues into next Tuesday as well. There's Tuesday 8 a.m., Tuesday 6 p.m., maybe some stronger storms down south and west central Alabama. And so next week, the story looks a little bit more unsettled as far as our forecast. This week, though, we get to enjoy those dry conditions. The big story for this week is that we'll see rising humidity levels between today and the end of your week. We've got that hot end to the week with those actual high temperatures in the 90s. I know, I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready for it. And then that Father's Day forecast could bring us an isolated shower or storm. We'll talk more about it in weather right here on Weather Extra. But this week is trending drier. Yes, that's the good thing. And meteorologists Matt Daniel and Mickey Ferguson join us now with a recap of last night's storms across central Alabama.
So, Mickey, yesterday evening we had some storms move through. We had a severe thunderstorm watch, had a couple of warnings as well.
We sure do. Here's a look at the radar from yesterday evening, and you can see those thunderstorms rolling on through here. We had some heavy rain, some lightning, and even had some hail in our area.
Yeah, that one storm in Blount County, though, definitely produced some hail. We got several photos from that area that we love to show you right here. This was all, of course, submitted through the WBRC First Alert weather app. This is out of Springville. Diane Bryant showing those dark, ominous-looking clouds approaching the area yesterday.
Yeah, and several folks sent in pictures of hail. This is from Kathy Rutledge in Aniana. So, yeah, some pretty impressive hail in that particular view. Dawn Guthrie sent this in from Aniana as well.
Yeah, told you, Blount County, lots of hail reports there. So, and it just covered up the ground too. Dawn sent this in. You can see, looks like maybe what, quarter size, maybe pea size, dime size hail falling there. So that could have caused a few dents here or there. And then here's another one from All Good, from Corey Strange.
It's all good.
Well, it is until you see that. And you're like, not good.
So Joe Fountain sent that in. Yeah, so that's just indicative of higher clouds with the thunderstorm. With you get hail like that.
Yeah, there was a lot of instability. I mean, we were well into the 90s, so lots of heat and humidity. You get some updrafts that are pretty strong, and you can get those hail sizes start to form. And so that's what we saw there in Blount County. Once again, I guess you can compare it to your Roku TV remote.
Roku-sized, Roku remote-sized hail.
That'd be weird to see that kind of report. Yeah, I got Roku-sized hail. And you're like, oh, interesting, okay. And then here's another great photo, too. Just looking at that cloud structure in St. Clair County from Josh Burnham sent that in. Isn't that impressive?
Yeah.
So where can people submit those photos, Mickey?
Well, once you download our free First Alert Weather app, you scroll down to the bottom, and you can see where you can send in photos and videos, and we could feature some of your pics or videos right here on Weather Extra.
That's right. Make sure you let us know your name too and where you're taking it from, so we'll give you that credit as well. But you know, this week looked pretty quiet, so looks like we might be getting some sunrise, sunset photos. And hey, if you're on vacation at the beach, we wouldn't mind seeing some of that as well.
Sure will. Send them on in.
Send them on in. We always love to showcase your photos, so please don't hesitate to download the WBRC First Alert Weather app. Just take that picture of whatever sky or image you want to send it in to us, and we'd love to show it right here on Weather Extra. But as storms continue to be likely as we head into hurricane season, FEMA is running out of money. The agency could slip into the red by the end of the summer, which could bring more destructive storms, tornadoes, and hurricanes. That's the same time period that all of that could happen. And this comes after more than $25 billion have been spent across the country after they have already been hit with 11 extreme disasters this year, according to NOAA. A FEMA spokesperson says the agency is working with Congress to address the funding issue, as well as take the necessary steps to fund a reserve to be set aside for response and recovery operations. This spring produced the second most tornadoes in the U.S. since record keeping began in 1950. And check this out. A large chunk of a mountain pass road has collapsed in Wyoming, leaving a gap in a major highway used for travel. The highway was closed at the time of the collapse because of a mudslide that happened a couple of miles away and ongoing concerns over a crack in the road. It is unclear how long it will take to rebuild the road, and as of now, it will require travelers to add at least an hour to their drive as officials come up with a repair plan. But in 30 seconds, we take a quick check on your evening forecast, plus those hotter temperatures for later in your work week. And then we're also going to bring you tips on how to avoid snakes this summer. We'll be right back. You're watching First Alert Weather Extra. Welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra, the only weather show that's airing at 6:30 across central Alabama. Here's a look at that evening forecast for your Monday. Beautiful and comfortable evening. Temperatures in the upper 70s just around 7 o'clock and staying in the upper 70s around 8 p.m. Around 9 o'clock, lower 70s, but notice no rain in the forecast and really not a whole lot of cloud coverage either. Here's a look at those highs, though, later in the week, because Thursday the heat is cranking up. We'll see highs Thursday afternoon, low 90s, mid 90s possible, though, in Tuscaloosa. The thing about Thursday, though, is that humidity levels are also going to be rising, so there could be, it could feel hotter outside than what the actual air temperature is going to read. And Friday, this is the 14th. If you have plans Friday afternoon, get ready for the heat. Mid 90s in Jefferson County, could see more of those upper 90s in West Alabama, and it's not even summer yet. Summer is not until the end of this month, and the heat is not waiting for it to be summer. We've already talked about the next big thing, though, increasing humidity levels for later in the week that can also make it feel hotter outside. But now we take a trip to the Birmingham Zoo, where Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt talks with an expert on how to avoid poison reptiles this summer.
Well, with the temperatures on the rise this time of the year, of course, we always hear watch your step this time of the year, and snakes are on the move, and it's always a big question identifying the types of snakes, venomous and non-venomous. And we're joined now by Andy Scott here at the Birmingham Zoo. And Andy, tell us a little bit. First off, today I see we've got a venomous and non-venomous snake. Which species are we looking at here?
Yes, so here on the left we have our gray rat snake, and then on the right we have a copperhead, showing off what copperheads do best. They blend in very well. So one of the best ways for people to learn about snakes and our native snakes is to learn the individual species. We have 6 species in Alabama. For the most part in Birmingham you're going to see rattlesnakes, copperheads, cottonmouths. So rattlesnakes have a rattle. And then copperheads, they have a copper-colored head. It's crazy, right?
Right. Yeah, I figured there was something copper there.
Yeah, you got it. So they usually have a copper-colored head. They kind of have a Hershey kiss pattern down their bodies. And then sometimes you can tell things by the shape of their pupils. So they actually have a elliptical pupil versus a round pupil, kind of depending on the lighting. So on a bright, sunny day, that's a great way to spot them.
So obviously, you know, if it's a fast encounter, a quick encounter, one thing I've often heard are copperheads sort of a smaller snake species?
Yeah, they only get to about 3 feet. They're not huge, and most snakes are pretty good about warning you. So things like a rattlesnake's going to rattle and warn you. A rat snake, they'll actually even musk sometimes, which is a very foul smell.
Yeah. I've heard
Copperhead's warning is just to bite you, unfortunately.
Wow.
They kind of really rely on their camouflage, so oftentimes when people find them, it's already too late. They're stepping on them when they're taking out the trash at night in the dark, or they're working in the garden and stick their hands somewhere. So usually the best thing we tell people is if you never get close enough to get bit, you'll never get bit. So if you're working in the yard, use tools instead of using your hands. And then if you're taking the trash out at night, use a flashlight, wear shoes, you know, that kind of thing. You'll be much safer.
Well, is there like a certain type of landscape that they prefer, like in pine? I know a lot of times they say in pine thickets and areas like that, or near water. I mean, I know we see a lot of cottonmouth near waterways. I mean, is there like one particular area you would say really watch it in these zones?
Anywhere with like deep leaves is where you'll find copperheads oftentimes. And it does vary quite a bit. You know, I've seen timber rattlesnakes anywhere from on a dirt road to way up in, you know, in pine forests. But especially around like your own yard or your own environment, they're really drawn to like where food is. So if there's rodents living in your yard, there's probably going to be snakes living in your yard. So, you know, keeping brush cleared away, keeping debris piles picked up is a great way to kind of limit the chances of them showing up there.
And that was such an interesting story. Make sure you're being careful when it comes to those reptiles outdoors and as you spend time outdoors. But you're watching First Alert Weather Extra. We have more right here of the full 7-day forecast, plus taking you beyond the 7-day. We'll be right back. Well, happy Monday, everyone. I'm hoping you have had a good start to your work week so far. Monday's not over just yet, but here's what I'm tracking as you plan out the rest of your work week. Number one, we have a comfortable evening tonight. Very comfortable, as in those humidity levels are staying pretty low. We'll have a mild Tuesday morning with some heat relief. Matter of fact, major heat relief, but that heat comes back for us by the end of the week. Here's our First Alert AccuTrack satellite and radar right now. It is currently 6:46 p.m. and we're not tracking any rain. We're not really seeing a whole lot of cloud coverage either. Temperatures mainly in the 80s, a few 70s out there, 79 in Coleman County, 85 in Tuscaloosa, 86 in Pickens. We've got winds out of the north across central Alabama, just about 5 to 10 miles per hour. So you might be feeling a light breeze, but look at those dew points. Comfortable as far as our humidity levels. Notice we're looking at green and maybe a little bit of yellow across central Alabama, and that's where our legend shows we're a little muggy, but mostly comfy. When you see dew points in the 50s, especially the lower 50s, that means it's less humid and less sticky outside. Not as much moisture in the air. So if you have plans this evening, get ready to enjoy some comfortable conditions. Upper 70s are more likely just around 7 to 8 p.m. Lower 70s around 9 o'clock with those winds out of the north. Your Tuesday morning specifically starts mild, a lot cooler. We'll see early temperatures. We'll see temperatures early Tuesday, 7 a.m., low 60s by lunchtime, low 80s, mid 80s just around 4 o'clock, mostly sunny skies with those winds out of the north still tomorrow, just about 5 to 10 miles per hour. But Tuesday afternoon, really cranking up the heat again. We'll see some areas reaching the upper 80s, a lot hotter areas west of I-65. So giving you that first alert, 88 in Tuscaloosa, 87 in Fayette, 86 down in Hale County. Lots of sunshine. Those UV rays and UV index levels are high. Not just Tuesday, though, Wednesday and even Thursday. Now, what does that mean? That means you need to protect your skin, wear sunscreen, apply it multiple times throughout the day. And not only that, wear a hat, some sunshades to protect your eyes from the sun as well. But we won't see our next rain chance really, not really at all this week. Our next rain chance looks more likely by Sunday as we bring in your Father's Day. Now, does this look like a washout? This is Sunday, 8 o'clock. Maybe an isolated shower or storm trying to push up south central Alabama, but it looks like most of the stormy weather as of right now stays along the coast. We could see some more showers and storms by Monday and early next week as our next rain and possible storm chance, but not looking at a washout by any means. No need to cancel those weekend plans just yet. Keep checking in for forecast updates throughout the week. Overnight temps in the 60s, but we really crank it up as we approach the weekend. Highs in the low 90s as early as Thursday, Friday, and even the start of the weekend, mid to upper 90s. Overnight temps in the 70s throughout your weekend. And then we start to see more overcast conditions possible by next Monday. But now it's time to take you beyond the 7-day. What are things looking like as we pass this next 7 days? Well, as we bring in June 16th through June 20th across the U.S., more below average temperatures in the Pacific Northwest for Montana, Washington, California, maybe even Las Vegas, Nevada, dealing with below temps. I know they're not mad at that, but across most of the U.S., above average temperatures are expected, and that includes us right here across central Alabama. And what about our rainfall outlook, our precipitation? As we look June 16th through June 20th, a good mixture across the U.S., anywhere from near average areas highlighted in gray to below average where you're seeing the brown to more above average for areas in green. And across central Alabama, we're actually seeing that mix as well. Looks like areas north and east central Alabama and further east could be seeing more below average rainfall, more near average for our central counties. And as we look further south and west for Pickens, Sumter, Greene, and maybe Hale and Perry County with slightly above average rainfall. So that's beyond the 7-day. Keep in mind things can and possibly will change. But now let's talk a little science. In this week's Degree of Science, meteorologist Brady Taylor introduces us to a groundbreaking research project that could be a game changer in the world of clean energy. And that's producing hydrogen from the rocks.
First, before we get to the research you are doing, why is it important to try to produce hydrogen? Why is that so important?
Well, there's a lot of emphasis looking at sort of transitional fuels, transitional energy, kind of moving away from kind of fossil fuels and moving into some new directions. And I think a lot of people are familiar with kind of batteries and electric cars and electric vehicles. Well, the new frontier that we're investigating is actually using hydrogen. And if done correctly, it presents a carbon-free or a carbon-neutral way to fuel the next economy.
So currently, how do we produce most of the hydrogen that we have?
We make it from natural gas. That's the most likely way to do it. Natural gas has a lot of hydrogen within the molecule, or methane does. And so we use methane to produce hydrogen in an industrial process. And with that, we can store hydrogen for whether it be for agricultural uses, energy uses, or as a feedstock for additional fuels.
But when it's made from natural gas, it's putting off CO2. Is that the big problem that we're running into with it?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So let's talk about y'all's project. So how exactly are you making or getting hydrogen out of iron-rich rocks?
Well, we're using a natural process, and so hydrogen's made from rocks naturally, and we do find accumulations of hydrogen all over the globe. And so that process is called serpentinization. And with serpentinization, you're using iron that's in the rocks and you're oxidizing it. And by doing that, you're reducing water to generate hydrogen. So the real process that we're tracing is trying to make hydrogen from water using these this natural chemistry.
So you're doing this right now in a kind of a laboratory setting. I know y'all got a grant to kind of make this a little bigger. What's the next steps to make this where you can produce more or make it in a bigger scale?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Yeah, so we were recently awarded a grant from one of the branches of the Department of Energy. It's called ARPA-E. And with that grant, it really is a benchtop experiment. And so we're trying to categorize all the iron-rich rocks that are common throughout North America and globally. And then we're going to run these experiments in our laboratory to try to estimate how much hydrogen we can produce. And then we're going to look at different catalyst strategies to try to increase the amount of hydrogen that we can produce. And so then the scale up to that obviously would be taking our lab experiments and then going to some field sites and trying to duplicate what we're doing in the lab in the field.
But don't go anywhere. We have a final check on your weather and we share some more of your viewer photos. You're watching First Alert Weather Extra. We'll be right back.